Day 34. Leviticus 8-10. Leviticus chapter 8. Moses consecrateth Aaron and his sons. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Take Aaron with his sons their vestments, and the oil of unction, a calf for sin, 2 rams, a basket with unleavened bread. And thou shalt gather together all the congregation to the door of the tabernacle. And Moses did as the Lord had commanded. And all the multitude being gathered together before the door of the tabernacle, he said, This is the word that the Lord had commanded to be done. And immediately he offered Aaron and his sons. And when he had washed them, he vested the high priest with the straight linen garment, girding him with the girdle, and putting on him the violet tunic, and over it he put the ephod. And binding it with the girdle, he fitted it to the rational, on which was doctrine and truth. He put also the mitre upon his head, and upon the mitre over the forehead he put the plate of gold, consecrated with sanctification, as the Lord had commanded him. He took also the oil of unction, with which he anointed the tabernacle, with all the furniture thereof. And when he had sanctified and sprinkled the altar 7 times, he anointed it, and all the vessels thereof, and the laver with the foot thereof, he sanctified with the oil. And he poured it upon Aaron's head, and he anointed and consecrated him. And after he had offered his sons, he vested them with linen tunics, and girded them with girdles, and put mitres on them as the Lord had commanded. He offered also the calf for sin, and when Aaron and his sons had put their hands upon the head thereof, he immolated it, and took the blood, and dipping his finger in it, he touched the horns of the altar round about, which being expiated and sanctified, he poured the rest of the blood at the bottom thereof. But the fat that was upon the entrails, and the gall of the liver, and the 2 little kidneys with their fat, he burned upon the altar. And the calf with the skin, and the flesh, and the dung, he burnt without the camp, as the Lord had commanded. He offered also a ram for holocaust. And when Aaron and his sons had put their hands upon its head, he immolated it, and poured the blood thereof round about the altar. And cutting the ram into pieces, the head thereof, and the joints and fat, he burned in the fire. Having first washed the entrails, and the feet, and the whole ram together he burned upon the altar, because it was a holocaust of most sweet odor to the Lord, as he had commanded him. He offered also the 2nd ram in the consecration of priests, and Aaron and his sons put their hands upon the head thereof. And when Moses had immolated it, he took of the blood thereof, and touched the tip of Aaron's right ear, and the thumb of his right hand, and in like manner also the great toe of his right foot. He offered also the sons of Aaron, and when with the blood of the ram that was immolated he had touched the tip of the right ear of every one of them, and the thumbs of their right hands, and the great toes of their right feet, the rest he poured on the altar round about. But the fat, and the rump, and all the fat that covereth the entrails, and the caul of the liver, and the 2 kidneys with the fat, and with the right shoulder, he separated. And taking out of the basket of unleavened bread, which was before the Lord, a loaf without leaven, and a cake tempered with oil in a waver, he put them upon the fat, and the right shoulder, delivering all to Aaron and of his sons, who having lifted them up before the Lord, he took them again from their hands, and burned them upon the altar of holocaust, because it was the oblation of consecration for a sweet odor of sacrifice to the Lord. And he took of the ram of consecration the breast for his portion, elevating it before the Lord, as the Lord had commanded him. And taking the ointment and the blood that was upon the altar, he sprinkled Aaron and his vestments, and his sons, and their vestments with it. And when he had sanctified them in their vestments, he commanded them, saying, Boil thy flesh before the door of the tabernacle, and there eat ye also the loaves of consecration that are laid in the basket, as the Lord commanded me, saying, Aaron and his sons shall eat them. And whatsoever shall be left of the flesh and the loaves shall be consumed with fire. And ye shall not go out of the door of the tabernacle for 7 days, until the day wherein the time of your consecration shall be expired. For in 7 days the consecration is finished, as at present it hath been done, that the rite of the sacrifice might be accomplished. Day and night shall they remain in the tabernacle, observing the watches of the Lord, lest ye die. For so it hath been commanded me. And Aaron and his sons did all things which the Lord spoke by the hand of Moses. Leviticus chapter 9. Aaron offered sacrifice for himself and the people. Fire cometh from the Lord upon the altar. And when the 8th day was come, Moses called Aaron and his sons, and the ancients of Israel, and said to Aaron, Take of the herd a calf for sin, and a ram for a holocaust, both without blemish, and offer them before the Lord. And to the children of Israel thou shalt say, to give for sin, and a calf, and a lamb both of a year old, and without blemish for a holocaust. Also a bullock and a ram for peace offerings. And immolate them before the Lord, offering for the sacrifice of every one of them flour tempered with oil, for today the Lord will appear to you. They brought therefore all things that Moses had commanded before the door of the tabernacle, where when all the multitude stood, Moses had given his word, which the Lord hath commanded. Do it, and his glory will appear to you. And he said to Aaron, Approach to the altar, and offer sacrifice for thy sin. Offer the whole course, and pray for thyself and for the people. And when thou hast slain the people's victim, pray for them, as the Lord hath commanded. And forth Aaron, approaching to the altar, immolated the calf for his sin. And his sons brought in the blood of it, and he dipped his finger therein, and touched the horns of the altar, and poured the rest of the foot thereof. And the fat, and the little kidneys, and the caul of the liver, which are for sin, he burnt upon the altar, as the Lord had commanded Moses. But the flesh and skins thereof he burnt with fire went to the camp. He immolated also the victim of holocaust, and his sons brought him the blood thereof, which he poured round about on the altar. And the victim being cut into pieces, they brought to him the head and all the members, all which he burned with fire upon the altar, having first washed the entrails and the feet with water. Then offering for the sin of the people, he slew the head of goat, and expiating the altar, he offered the holocaust, adding in the sacrifice the libations, which he offered withal, and burning them upon the altar, besides the ceremonies of the morning holocaust. He immolated also the bullock and the ram, and peace offerings of the people, and his sons brought him the blood, which he poured upon the altar round about. The fat also of the bullock, and the rump of the ram, and the 2 little kidneys with their fat, and the caul of the liver they put upon the breasts. And after the fat was burned upon the altar, Aaron separated their breasts, and the right shoulders, elevating them before the Lord, as Moses had commanded. And stretching forth his hands to the people, he blessed them. And so the victims for sin, and the holocausts, and the peace offerings being finished, he came down. And Moses and Aaron went into the tabernacle of the testimony, and afterward came forth and blessed the people. And the glory of the Lord appeared to all the multitude. And, behold, a fire, coming forth from the Lord, devoured the holocaust, and the fat that was upon the altar, which when the multitude saw, they praised the Lord, falling on their faces. Douay-Rheims chapter 10. Nadab and Abihu for offering strange fire are burned by fire. Priests are forbidden to drink wine when they enter into the tabernacle. The law of eating the holy things. And Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, taking their censers, put fire therein, and incense on it, offering before the Lord strange fire, which was not commanded them. And fire coming out from the Lord destroyed them, and they died before the Lord. And Moses said to Aaron, This is what the Lord hath spoken. I will be sanctified in it that approach to me, and I will be glorified in the sight of all the people. And when Aaron heard this, he held his peace. And Moses called Misael and Ozaphan, the sons of Ozi, the uncle of Aaron, and said to them, Go and take away your brethren from before the sanctuary, and carry them without the camp. And they went forthwith and took them as they lay, bested with linen tunics, and cast them forth, as had been commanded them. And Moses said to Aaron and to Eleazar and Ithamar his sons, Uncover not your heads, and rent not your garments, lest perhaps ye die, and indignation come upon all the congregation. Let your brethren and all the house of Israel wail the burning which the Lord has kindled. But you shall not go out of the door of the tabernacle, otherwise you shall perish, for the oil of the holy unction is on you. And they did all things according to the precept of Moses. The Lord also said to Aaron, You shall not drink wine nor anything that may make drunk, thou nor thy sons, when you enter into the tabernacle of the testimony, lest you die. Because it is an everlasting precept through your generations, and that you may have knowledge to discern between holy and unholy, between unclean and clean, and may teach the children of Israel all my ordinances which the Lord hath spoken to them by the hand of Moses. And Moses spoke to Aaron and to Eleazar and Ithamar, his sons that were left, Take the sacrifice that is remaining of the oblation of the Lord, and eat it without leaven beside the altar, because it is holy of holies. And you shall eat it in a holy place, which is given to thee and thy sons of the oblations of the Lord, as it hath been commanded me. The breast also that is offered, and the shoulder that is separated, ye shall eat in a most clean place, thou and thy sons, and thy daughters with thee. For they are set aside for thee and thy children, of the victims of peace offerings of the children of Israel. Because they have elevated before the Lord the shoulder and the breast, and the fat that is burnt on the altar, and they belong to thee and to thy sons by a perpetual law, as the Lord hath commanded. While these things were doing, when Moses sought for the buck goat that had been offered for sin, he found it burnt. And being angry with Eleazar and Ithamar, the sons of Aaron that were left, he said, Why did ye not eat in the holy place the sacrifice for sin, which is most holy, and given to you, that ye may abate the iniquity of the people, and may pray for them in the sight of the Lord? Especially, whereas none of the blood thereof hath been carried within the holy places, and you ought to have eaten it in the sanctuary, as was commanded me. Aaron answered, This day hath been offered a victim for sin, and a holocaust before the Lord, and to me what thou seest has happened. How could I eat it, or please the Lord in the ceremonies, having a sorrowful heart? Which when Moses had heard he was satisfied.